and welcome to this. It should have been the third session, but it is the second session of our masterclass series. We are very happy that you can join us. We are expecting quite a number of people today, but we seem to be joining quite late. And so I suppose we will have to, if you don't mind, just wait for a few minutes for a few more people to join us, and then we will kick it off. So once again, welcome.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna start.
Hello again. Good afternoon once again. And once again, we are all welcome to this afternoon's session. I suppose that maybe as we wait for 2 or 3 more minutes before we start, those of us who are already here, we can just start putting in the chat box and telling us where your practice is, and perhaps maybe something about your expectation of this session. So we could just use that, and in the next 2 or 3 minutes, we will kick off. Thank you very much. Good afternoon once again. Please, can everybody hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you
Yes,
very
we are on.
Thank you very much. You are welcome once again to this second, it should have been our third session for the masterclass series. The Ghana College of Pharmacists, recognizing the role and the kind of work that pharmacists do and other health scientists do, realize that it is important that we provide some level of support so that pharmacists and other health scientists who they need, who have some information they want to share, some research work they may have carried out, and they need to share, disseminate that information to other scientists, we could provide them with support in order to prepare their documents for presentation and for submission for publication. And it is in this light that we instituted the masterclass series this year as we celebrate our 10th anniversary as an institution. And so you are welcome, and thank you very much for joining. We know that for some of you, you are already publishing documents, you already have the experience, and so this may be a refresher. And there may be some of the sessions that we could even have fallen on you to moderate, and yet we are asking that you come and share some information that you may have with all of us, and so that together we can learn and write and publish and share the information, the research work that we are doing all over the world and throughout our practice. So today with this session, we are looking at referencing. We want to be able to reference properly. Sometimes you have done the work, but because it is a scientific community, we want to see that, did you get some support from somewhere? If you did, then you have to identify that this is where I got this information. And there are times when, as we reference, or you send your information out and the thing becomes, let us see, is it your own thought? Is it an original thought, or is it properly referenced? And sometimes we may not be meeting the standards of referencing, and that could affect whether our work is accepted for publication or not. And so today we are looking at referencing. And before I introduce our facilitator for today, I'll just go through some of the program and then a few housekeeping rules. So the first thing is that if perhaps maybe there's a lot of activity in your background, please keep your microphone off so that we can hear the presentation and the sessions. Otherwise, if there is no sound in your background, it's no problem. But of course, it is preferred. We will also, as we go through it, post out an evaluation form when we have finished the session. So we will have the session, and then we'll have an evaluation form, and then we will look at some other announcements for one for our celebration and also for the next sessions for the masterclass series. So for the program today, what we will do is that our facilitator, our lead facilitator, will give us a presentation. He will use about 30 minutes and tell us about some of the concepts when it comes to referencing, and he will take us through the kinds of referencing that we may come across, and also how to use particularly EndNote. We know that some of you may be using other reference applications or reference support software, but I suppose that looking at this, it also gives us an opportunity to even discuss among ourselves when we come back in the plenary to look at which ones may be easier to use depending on what it is that we are doing. After the presentation, we'll have a breakout session in which we'll break out into groups, and these groups are not they are not predetermined, but we will just break out into the groups depending on the number that we have at the time. And I am sure that each one of us has received in the mail a number of mails, the first one being the EndNote software, one of them also being the steps that you have to go through with referencing, which our facilitator will also go through today for us. And then you have about 4-5 exercises, which you should have received in your mail. And so we will ask that everybody downloads all of those and install, if you haven't already installed EndNote, unless you are not interested in using EndNote. But if you haven't already installed it, then go through the steps that are required for installing it and then have it with you. And we will have these breakout sessions, and based on what we would have gone through during the presentation, for each group, we will have a question, an exercise, and we will go through it and do the referencing as we practice, so we can actually practice the referencing. And then when we come back into after that, that will take us about 45 minutes. After that, we will come back into the plenary and discuss our experiences. How did it go? Perhaps is there another tool that may be easier to use, or perhaps some other things that we may have come across in whether in the exercise or in a previous session, or something else that we believe will help us as we practice our referencing. We will encourage that depending on the group that you are in, if the group is such that maybe all of you are conversant with it, then we will ask that you do more than one exercise. That's why we've given you all the exercises. But definitely make sure that in your assigned group, you get a facilitator or a rapporteur, somebody who will coordinate the discussions, and then each one of you practice it by yourself, and we see how it is done during the breakout groups, and then we discuss it in the groups, and then in the plenary we discuss as well. So after the plenary, we will wrap up. We were hoping that we would have been able to start right on time, but we were not able to because as you can see, our numbers are still quite low, but we will go ahead, and everybody who is here, I believe, will be able to benefit from this session. So that will be our outline for today. And let me just go straight in and introduce our facilitator who is already with us, and then he can start his presentation so that we jump in once he has finished. After his presentation, we may have a few minutes to take about 1 or 2 burning questions before we go into the breakout session. So our facilitator is a senior specialist pharmacist. He's a fellow of the Ghana College of Pharmacists. He is the director of pharmacy of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. He's an adjunct lecturer of the Faculty of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences in KNUST, and a part-time lecturer of the School of Medical Sciences, University of Cape Coast. He's also a preceptor of the Ghana College of Pharmacists. So please join me to welcome Dr. Robert Inkum. Please take over, sir.
All right, thank you for your kind introduction. Yes, as has been indicated, I'll try and share my screen so that we could follow through the presentation. A moment, please. Okay. Right. Please, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, please. But if you could go into presentation mode.
Right. Wait.
Great.
Right. So I'll be taking you through scientific referencing and what will be the objective for such an exercise. And as our rector has mentioned already, as pharmacists and scientists or players in the pharmaceutical sciences industry, it may always be important that we need to do some form of a report or a write-up with scientific basis. And in doing that, how do we situate it in the body of scientific knowledge that is already available? And so this is what we will try to do today so that we're able to make that whole enterprise or exercise very easy in a standardized way. And so what I'll try to do this afternoon is to just give a few reminders on what some of the scientific search engines we could rely on in eliciting information, how we'll be able to maneuver through those search engines to get a very focused information that is related to the subject of interest. And finally, how we can arrange those authorities, the references that we have consulted in coming up with our research or our write-up in a very scientific and a standardized way that will be appropriate for the readership. And so there are a number of scientific reference managers that could be used, but use the prototype of the EndNote. And once we the Mendeley and the Zotero and the like. So why scientific referencing? So oftentimes it can be very frustrating knowing, especially for students and residents and postgraduate like who have done their have done whole write-up, and then at the end of the day, the referencing style that they have to use is inappropriate. They are not able to properly acknowledge the authorities that they have consulted. And that brings a lot of frustration, as we can see with our friend and colleague here, eventually giving up on the whole work that he sought out to do. So the outline for us to be able to do this in a very simple and standardized way will be to look at medical search engines and then information retrieval search strategy, authorities, existing material, and then use it, situate it in our own write-up in a manner that will acknowledge those authorities in a standardized way. And finally, we'll look at how to use the reference managers using the prototype of the EndNote. So why scientific referencing? Well, information explosion age that we find ourselves, we realize that authors actually need to explain how their research findings can fit within previous ones in the same or similar fields. And so if you are working in, say, diabetes, stroke, of course, there are many information and findings that are already existing in that field. So how does our findings that we have done in our locality fit within the worldwide body of scientific knowledge? And in doing that, therefore, be able to synchronize our findings with the world body of scientific knowledge. And that is why scientific referencing is very important. And in doing that, there is a basic rule that we need to adhere to. And one is that accurate because we are presenting information that is going to be used or be depended upon for, say, drug therapy decisions. And so it must be accurate. The second rule is that it also has to be complete. And as we go through the procedures, we will come to appreciate the completeness of referencing when we have to do our referencing. And finally, the references have to be consistently applied. Consistency is very key when it comes to scientific referencing, because a number of references are available, they are all acceptable, but if you miss them, then it doesn't make your write-up appealing for our readership, and it doesn't situate well with the other body of scientific knowledge. So it has to be accurate, complete, and it must be consistently applied. Here are a few examples of some search engines that I'm sure you know of. We have the Cochrane Library, the PubMed, Web of Science, the Google Scholar, which is very popular with our postgraduate students and even the residents, the Ovid Science Direct, and the Scopus. And we'll use some of these to demonstrate how we'll be able to retrieve scientific information, get corresponding scientific articles into our reference manager, and how we can proceed with the reference. So to begin, we'll look at, we have a subject you have to write, saying you are searching information on a subject as prevalence of, say, stroke worldwide. How do you go about it to be able to get information that is very related, that is focused, and that is accurate without giving you a lot of junk information? As we said, the world is there full of information explosion, and we need to have this strategy to help us actually get the relevant information that is appropriate for our search topic. And so prevalence of stroke worldwide, we're going to use this one. And in searching information that is focused, we'll use what we call some operators. And we need to combine these search terms with appropriate operators. And those operators, when combined appropriately, will give us desired information that we can operate. A and D in caps lock, which is actually symbolized with a plus. The other Boolean operator is or and not. So we're going to use these three and juggle between them to see how they can help us either to broaden our scope of search or to narrow them into a precise information that is related to our scientific topic. So some search engines use words and others use symbols. And like I said, these are the words and then their corresponding symbols that will help us to give a precise or a concise search. So how do we retrieve information? I believe we all remember Venn diagrams, the set operations. And today we'll just try and then refresh our mind to these ones, because they will help us to be able to relate very well to our Boolean operators and how we can combine them effectively. So we remember intersection, right? So if you have a set of, say, A with elements 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 7, 8, 6, and 9. That is set A. And then we have set B with the elements 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, as you see in this diagram. Then our intersection that is A intersection B, will be the elements that are what? Common to both sets. And so with this diagram that you see, A intersection B will give us the elements that we have pictured in red. And that is 6, 7, 8, and 9. So what do we see? So when we are looking at intersection, we realize that we are taking a narrow portion of the two sets and actually bringing out the elements that are common to both sets. And so in all, we are looking at about 9 elements in set A to about 13 elements in set B. And yet, if we look at the intersection, that gives us 4 elements. That is 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we want to take note of intersection, designated as N. And we are going to relate this intersection to one of our Boolean operators. You also remember union, and union represents OR as a Boolean operator. And in fact, the intersection represents our AND as a Boolean operator. Intersection and union represents OR as a Boolean operator. And so if you have set A and B again, with elements in sets A as 2, 5, and 7, and elements in set B as 1, 2, 5, and 7, then A union B give us the elements as what? 1, 2, 5, 7, and 8. That is all the elements in both sets put together. So you see that when we are using the union, it gives us a wider scope compared to the intersection that gives us just the region that is common to both sets. And so all gives us a broad scope, and then and, which in our set operations represent intersection, actually narrows search. So let's see how we can use these Boolean operators with this search in searching information on this statement, this scientific statement, that is prevalence of stroke worldwide, or prevalence of worldwide prevalence of stroke. So if we are going to use this statement and we want to combine these Boolean operators to get a concise search and results, we're going to demonstrate how we'll be able to do it. So at this stage, you can open a browser. You can open a browser, one of the scientific search engines. Let's say PubMed or Google Scholar. PubMed or Google Scholar. So I have Google Scholar here, and I'll use that to illustrate. And I want you to note the difference in the number of information or articles that will pop up as we combine 2 of these Boolean operators. So for instance, we can type in prevalence, and then we are going to combine the key terms in this search statement with our Boolean operators. So we'll use the first Boolean operator, and since we are using and, not as our normal Queen's language expression, but as a Boolean operator, we write it as a caps, okay? So and will come in as a caps, and then we'll combine it with stroke, plus we'll connect with our Boolean operator again, and then worldwide, okay? So
Dr.
in our
Ifum,
yes.
please, we cannot see what you are doing.
Oh, sorry.
So maybe you can stop sharing.
Okay. And I'll come back.
Yes.
Please, are you able to see my screen now?
Yes, thank you. We can see it.
Right. So as you can see in the search space of the Google Scholar, which is a scientific search engine, I have prevalence and I've connected it with AND as a Boolean operator. So you see that it's in caps with stroke and then AND again as a Boolean operator with worldwide. And then we want to click on search. If we do that, it gives us a number of articles, okay, relating to those subjects. A number of articles relating to those subjects. So you go through articles and able to what? Pinpoint those that are very related to your search topic. And then you'll be able to review them. And once you review them, then you can send them into your reference manager. So we have two. So we have about 658 search results. Okay, 658,000. That is what this brings us. Now, we want to note this figure and then combine the same search statement with different Boolean operator. This time, say or. Okay, so we have prevalence or stroke or worldwide, and then we want to do a search. So that also gives us some search results. If you look up there under articles, you find that we have generated articles of about 6,190,000 results. Please, do you see that? And if you compare to the result that we generated using AND as a Boolean operator, you realize that this output far gives us so many information compared to when we use the AND as a Boolean operator. So the point really is that depending on the scope of search and how you combine them, then you'll be able to get a more focus. And so realize that if you use the AND as a Boolean operator, it gives us something that connects the three keywords that you're really interested in, leaving out a number of information that may not be necessary for our area of interest. And so this is how we combine these Boolean operators to be able to refine our search, to get more focused information that is related to our subject of interest. I'll go back to the slides. Okay. Right, so that is how we use the Boolean operators to be able to refine our search. So as we have illustrated.
Dr. Nkum, please, you have not gone back to the slides.
Okay,
you will have to stop sharing the,
and then
thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, we are there.
Yes, we are. Thank you very much.
Great. Great. So as we have illustrated, the Boolean operator AND, in fact, helps our search to locate documents or articles that discusses or compare the keywords. And when we use and, when we want to combine these ones, in fact, the Boolean operator and always narrows the search. And that is what we have illustrated in the prevalence and true and worldwide. And at the same time, when we use or as a Boolean operator, in fact, the key word is that it broadens our search and gives us a lot more data, so that if you want data elsewhere outside our jurisdiction, it will be able to give us that information. Another point that we quickly want to look at when it comes to scientific referencing is plagiarism. And simply put, plagiarism means deception, lifting, or illegal use. And so if you pick an idea and you use it and you do not acknowledge it, that is plagiarism. And in fact, lifting is when you pick the idea and you just use it without any modification whatsoever, and yet claim that it is your idea. That is what it means. So you pick somebody's statements and then you acknowledge the person. Meanwhile, you have used it in your work, which you are entitled to. And that is called lifting, and that is also not acceptable. And so that will also be interpreted to mean plagiarism if you lift and just use it as it is, even though you acknowledge it, still not acceptable. And illegal use is when you try to maneuver to present somebody's work, acknowledge it, but still not do it in a standardized or a scientific way to actually reflect the originality of the work that you have. And in fact, in elsewhere, and some softwares are available to actually check this illegal use of people's data. So that software is called Turnitin. And in fact, it helps us to produce original content and empowers one to evaluate the underlying ideas and more clearly express their own ideas. In fact, in doing this, we need these reference managers that we are going to demonstrate how we're going to use them. And a number of them are available for use. As I said, the EndNote is available. We have the RefWorks, we have the RefMan, we have Zotero, we have the Mendeley, and even the BibTeX. And so these reference managers, like I said, will help us to better manage our references in our Word document in a very easy manner. Because if you try to do it manually, as I know others do, it is very cumbersome. But these managers bring the flexibility that comes with it, and we're going to demonstrate that in a very short while. And within these reference managers, we have what we call the reference styles. And usually, if you are sending your articles for publication in any journal, they will actually specify the reference style that is acceptable to them. If you are presenting your work to any college or any institution of higher learning, there are also guidelines that tells us exactly the format that has to be used. And all these are already embedded in the reference manager. So if you know how to maneuver your way, it makes work very easy and simple. So these are examples. I'm sure we're familiar with the APA, the Harvard, the Vancouver, the Chicago, and all that. So all these are embedded in the reference managers that you can find. In fact, all of them. And so, like I said, we use the EndNote as a prototype to demonstrate how we can use this to make really life very simple. So in summary, what I've tried to do is to try to remind ourselves or bring to the fore the needs for medical or scientific referencing. As I said, it helps us to be able to situate and relate our own work to what is available in the general body of scientific knowledge. We've looked at a number of search engines, some examples. The common one, we have the PubMed, the Google Scholar, very popular among the postgraduate students. And then we've also looked at some search strategies. And when we're able to use these Boolean operators in our search strategies, we've been able to demonstrate that they help refine the information that we get and are able to help us make a focus, get a focused information that relates to our field of work. And in a very short while, we are going to demonstrate how we'll be able to use a reference manager in making this medical referencing very easy for us. So thank you very much up to this stage. And at this point, I will encourage that we launch our EndNote that we have already installed on our various devices that we are using. So this is the first part of the presentation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nkum. So maybe you give us 2 minutes to launch our EndNote, and then you continue with us.
Very well.
Dr. Nkum, I believe we can resume. Thank you.
Very well. Very well. Yes. So we send our article from the search engines to the reference manager and cite them into our Word document. So this is about the summary of what we are going to do. Sending reference articles from the search engines we have talked about, say the Google Scholars, the PubMed, into the reference manager. Then from the reference manager, I will cite it into our Word document. And in doing that, I want us to just go through the steps in reference citation as has been distributed. There are about 10 steps that we're going to follow. 10 steps. And the first is to create a folder to save your downloaded articles if necessary. So that's the first step. So, and this is a normal folder. So either on our desktop or in our Word documents, you create a folder. And you can name this folder Masterclass Series 3 or 2. So MC2, you can do that now. So the second step is now to select the specific article in the scientific search engine. So like I said, so when we do our search and all those articles pop up, we'll scan through and then we will be able to select what is relevant for us as far as our search or our research topic is concerned. So we'll select a specific article from the search engine. And then the third step is to download that selected article into the installed reference manager, and this time into our EndNote. If you have any other reference manager you are conversant with, you can download it into it. So we say that we are also going to download, the first step is to download the corresponding PDF format of the article, this time into the folder we have created in step 1. So if there's any PDF accompanying the article that we have downloaded into the manager, we want to download that also and save it appropriately in our folder that we have created. Now, in the reference manager, step 5, highlight the reference that you intend to cite. You highlight it. And then step 6 is to create the reference list section in your Word document. In your Word document. So you create the reference list section. And usually it's the last page. Then in the Word document, that's step 7, place the cursor at the end of the statement to be referenced. So you have written your statement, which you got an idea from another author. You put the cursor at the end of that statement. Okay, so I'm demonstrating that of this. Yes, please, are you able to see this Word document with the title Stroke in Ghana, Assessment of Prescriber Practices, Management and Treatment Outcomes?
Yes, please.
Please, can we relate to this? Yes, so this is our Word document. And I've said that you create a reference session. So this is it. Okay, good. And for step 7, what I'm saying is that the worldwide prevalence of stroke is estimated to be 28% by the year 2030 from the current rate of 22%. So this is the end of the statement. And that is where we want to acknowledge the source for which we got information to make this statement. So you place the cursor at the end, like here, like this. So that's step 7. Then still in the Word document, click on EndNote in the menu bar. So if you look at my screen, this is the menu bar, okay? Once you install the EndNote properly, it will appear like this. So you see EndNote 20. You can relate to that, appearing in this Word document. So we click on it like this. Then in the drop-down menu, click on Insert, and then Insert Selected Citations. So we'll come here, you see Insert. You click on it, then the second drop-down option is Insert Selected Citations. So that is 9. So when you do that, it will send the article, the reference that you have highlighted in your manager. That is in step 5. The article that you have highlighted there, once you click Insert Selected Citation, it will move it and then insert it like you have seen here, Fenn et al. 209. It will come. We are going to demonstrate that so that you appreciate it. So you would have now cited your reference from, we pull it, as we said, from the search engine into the reference manager, and now you have cited it in your Word document. So after you are done, maybe about 10 of them in your one write-up, you can have about 20, 50 of references, which as it cites them here, it will also list them in your list of references. So the first one is Fenn et al., which is here, 209, and it will list the full article here, like that for you. So when you have done that, step 10 says that after all references have been cited, using steps 7 to 9, you click on Edit and Manage Citations to now format the references according to the college or the journal specification. So oftentimes what happens is that if you are submitting a research paper or your dissertation, your thesis to the college will specify that it should be, the font size will be specified, the font type, and then even the reference type will also be what? The style will also be indicated. Say use Vancouver, use Harvard, use APA. So all those ones in step 10, this is where you are now going to what? Format all of them to meet the specification that has been indicated either in the journal you are submitting your work or by the college or the university for which you are submitting your project work. And so that will bring us to a conclusion. So now we'll go into our, please, have we created our folder on our desktop or in our Word document?
Please, Dr. Inkum, if you can just take us through that one again.
Okay. So we are going through the steps in citation. I said I have 10 of them here, and I believe all of you have copies, so you can follow through. Step 1, you create a folder to save downloaded articles. And this folder could be created either on your desktop or in your Word document. And we can, for the purposes of this exercise, we can name it MC2, Masterclass Series 2. So all articles we are going to download relating to this presentation will go into that folder. Then select a specific article in the reference in the scientific search engine. So if you are using Google Scholar or PubMed, for instance, when
Dr. Nkum, we are not seeing, are you sharing on the formula or are you taking
I'm
us
going
through?
over the steps.
Okay, okay.
I'm going over the steps, yes. I'm going over the steps. So you select a specific article in your search engine. And then you download the selected article into your install reference manager. This time around, say the EndNote. Then if there's any corresponding PDF format of the article, you also download that and save it into your created folder in step 1. So you see that the article with the author's name and all that goes into the reference manager. And then the PDF version goes into your folder you have created on your desktop. Great. So once the article is now in your reference manager, you are now going to cite. And we usually put the corresponding PDF in our folders so that we can go back to it and read and get additional information if there is necessary. So now we are going to cite from the reference manager into our Word document. And this is where, to be able to cite, you have to highlight, because you may have a number of those articles in your manager. I have about 10 or 20 reference articles. So which one are you going to cite for this statement, for instance? So you have to highlight those that you have to cite. So that's step 5. You highlight or select the references to be cited from the reference manager. So after you have done that, then we say that in your Word document, which I'm just sharing mine. Yes, in this Word document, as you write your introduction, the text and everything, you need to create a reference list column, and usually it's the last page. So as you are typing your article, your information, you create this reference. So you just write references on the last page, so that you are preparing the room to receive the reference list. So create a reference list section in the Word document. So like this, okay. Then in the Word document, place the cursor at the end of the statement that you want to reference. So this time I want to reference the statement. So today's lecture is about the prevalence of stroke in Ghana. This is the statement that I want to reference. So I'll put my cursor here, okay? Yeah, so the cursor is there. I'm now going to bring the reference to cite it. And in doing that, I'm saying that in the Word document, click on EndNote in the menu bar. So once you install any reference manager, once it's properly installed on your device, it will, you open any Word document, it will appear in the menu bar. So if you look here, you see EndNote here. Along the line, you find this EndNote 20. So you click on it like this, and there's a drop down. So in step 9, in the drop down menu, click on Insert Citation. So look at the far left corner. That's here, Insert Citation. You click, and then in that drop down, the second item there is what? Insert Selected Citations. When you click on it, the reference article that you have highlighted in your manager, in the reference manager, will drop down and come and occupy where you place the cursor in your Word document. So Sodlo and Wolof will come and appear. Once they appear, the full article will then also drop down. See the third one here in your Word document. Then you would have cited. So you repeat steps 7, 8, and 9 to actually insert or cite all the references you intend to cite or use in that write-up. And when you have done, then you come to the formatting. That's the last step. And this formatting is important because each journal that you want to submit your work to, or each institution of higher learning, have specific requirements for actually scientific write-up. The referencing style, the font type, and all that will be specified. So within the manager, you'll be able to what? Maneuver your way out to format the references in line with the requirement that have been given either by the journal or by the university or the college. And so these are the steps that we are going to follow to be able to do an appropriate referencing. So to begin with, step one, we cannot create the folders, please. I'm sure we are done creating the folder on our desktop. And then we'll open our reference library manager, the EndNote that we have installed. So once our reference manager is open, then we go to our scientific search engine. So I'm still going by the prevalence or stroke or worldwide. Okay, let me share. Share screen. Okay, so let's say prevalence or stroke or worldwide. We do a search. And then we find this to be useful. We open and it's a Lancet journal that has some information on stroke, and we find that to be useful. So we want to cite this one. So we go back and we see the symbol. Beside it is sites. Please, are you able to follow through my screen?
Yes, Dr. Nkrumah, but just one clarification.
Right.
So once the folder, the reference folder is open, do you go through the reference folder to get to the search engine, or do you go directly to the search engine?
You go directly to the search engine.
Great.
Yes. And then you type your statement using the Boolean operators.
Yes.
Good. And then the articles with the corresponding authors will pop up. So you scan through and then you choose the relevant article that is of interest to you. So in this case, in this page, the first one is the impact of stroke. The second one, I see the neuropsychiatry of stroke. And then maybe I'm interested in the third one, stroke. So if that is what you are interested in, beneath the write-up, you find this site. And then you click. If you click it, this window opens up and gives you the option to now download this article into the reference manager that you have installed on your device, say your laptop. And so you see that beneath we have the BIP test, we have EndNote, we have RefMan, we have RefWorks. In fact, if you have installed, let's say, Mendeley, it would have appeared. If you have installed Zotero on your device, it would have appeared. So once we have installed EndNote, then we click on EndNote. So we are now downloading the article into our EndNote. So I have to now share the EndNote. So it automatically moves into your EndNote library. So I'll stop and then now share the EndNote library to see where the article has appeared. Yes. So now you can see my EndNote library, my screen.
Yes, I see your screen.
Yeah, so if you recall, you will find that I downloaded an article that was authored by Donan, 2008, and the title was True, and the journal was Lancet. So that is what has appeared here. So every article that you download.
Dr. Nkrumah, I must confess that I have downloaded it, but I'm not seeing it in mine.
Not seeing it. Then okay. then you can follow through here.
Yeah.
Please, do some of us have it?
Yes.
Okay. So I did something wrong. That's fine.
Yeah, so it means it was incomplete installation. Yeah, so at this stage, you see that we have gone, we've gone through step 1. We have done step 2. Now downloaded the selected article into a stored reference manager. So this is step 3. We've created our folder, the masterclass series folder on our desktop. We have selected the specific article in our search engine. Okay, and that was Donald G, 2008 on Stroke. Now, we downloaded it by clicking on the site button in the search engine, and it has moved that article from the search engine now into our reference manager.
Yes.
Yes, so that is where we are now. So
I've seen it. Thank you.
Great. So, you know, as scientists, as pharmacists, you may be working on a number of projects. The EndNote allows you to save information, all the articles, group them in relation to whatever subject area you are working in. So within this EndNote, please look at the top here. You have File, Edit, References, Groups. So you click on Group. In the drop down, Create Group. And then you see a new group has popped up in the left margin there. So we are also naming this new group as MC2, Masterclass 2. Just like creating a folder on our desktop. Now we have created a folder MC2 in our library. And why we have done that is that all articles relating to this subject of Masterclass series, we want to save them in that folder for easy reference. Going back to it, because if they are in the pool, sometimes it's difficult. So we can create that folder MC2 by looking at up here. or click on groups. From the drop down, you click on create group. And if you do that, it will fall there and then you name it MC2 as I have done. So like I said, we want to now move all the articles relating to Masterclass Series 2 into that folder in this reference manager. And you do that by simply dragging it. You drag. Now it has moved from referencing to ICT lecture. So you drag this like this, and then you drop it in MC2. So you see that if you now click on this one has appeared. It means you have sent one article into the MC2. Okay. Please, are we okay up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Right. So we have dropped one article into our manager, and in our manager, we have moved that article into our group folder MC2.
So why are you adding the drip? You know what a drip is?
Great.
What?
So you continue. You do the same. You go back into the search engine. You get another article that is very relevant. So I'll go there again. I'm sure this time you might not see it because I want to still maintain this screen. So I'm going back to the search engine, and then I'm citing another reference, the fourth one. Okay, I'll click on EndNotes. Open. Great. So another reference has come, imported reference 1. That is email 1999. Disablement following through. Okay. So another reference has come into the manager. But again, like I said, this reference article is still related to Masterclass Series 2. So I'll click on this new reference that has come. Please note that MC2 folder we created here, there's only one. You see one. That means there's only one reference article there. Now we are dragging this one again and again, and we drop it there. So you see now MC2, the number of articles in there has changed from 1 to 2. So if you click on MC2, the last article that you drop will be highlighted. So on my screen, you see that as highlighted. I don't know, is it green? Good. So we have 2 articles here. We have brought them from the search engines into our reference manager. Now we are going to we'll skip step 4 for now. Step 4 for now, because we don't have any corresponding PDF to these articles. So we now go to step 5. Step 5 says highlight or select references or reference to be cited from the reference manager. So between these two, Donald G and then email, say at the statement that I've done, I want to reference Donald G. So what we do is what? You highlight by just clicking on it. So Donald G is now highlighted. Okay. So that is step 5. So step 6 will happen in our Word document. Step 6 will happen in our Word document. So we are going back to our Word document. We are going back to our Word document, and that was, I was working on prevalence of stroke. Okay, so I'll pick this. So assuming this is my work that I'm working on, and I'm doing a literature review. Please, are you able to see this screen?
Yes, please.
Great. So this is my work. Under literature review, I've made some statements, and now I want to make a reference. So I've indicated ref 1 here. So this is where I want to place that reference. So I've done all the statements, and then I want to place my reference here. Okay. And I've said that before you do that, within this work document, you have to create the reference list column. And it's usually on the last page. Usually on the last page, the reference list column. So this is the last page. I'll do the drop down and get to a fresh page like this. And I'll type references. If the school says indicate it as bibliography, you write it. So this is references. So I've done that. I have already highlighted the reference I want to import, that is Donald G, in my manager. Now I've come to my Word. I've made my statement here. So, and I've created my reference list section. That is step 6. Now, step 7. It says that in the Word document, place the cursor at the end of the statement to be referenced. So the end of the statement I want to reference is what? Illnesses, illness. You see, illness. So this is where I want to put my reference, illness. So I'll place the cursor there. So after placing the cursor there, what do I do? That is step 8. I'll go to the menu bar. The menu bar, and you find EndNote 20. You click, there's a drop down at the far left top corner. You see insert citation. You click again, there's a drop down. The second on the drop down is what? Insert selected citation. So you see why you have to highlight your reference that you want to insert. And we have done that already in the manager. It's there. So you click insert selected citation. It will cite it at where you place your cursor, and at the same time list the full article in the reference list section that you have created at the last page. So I'll do a click like this, and automatically you see that Donald et al. Has been inserted. Donald et al. 2008 has been inserted nicely in my Word document. Nicely in my Word document. So you can go to Home. I've highlighted it red. Oh, because I'm sharing, it's not able to do that. Okay. So, but you can see that Donald et al. 2008 has been fixed nicely in my Word document. Now, let's go to the reference list section to see whether the full article has been listed for us. So we went to the last page. Yes, this is the last page, references. And you find that Donald G.A., Fisher M., McLeod M., and Davis S.M. 2008. Stroke, the Lancet, the volume is there, and then the page has all been listed nicely without any sweats. So it has fixed the article in your Word document, and it has listed it in your list of references for you. So that's about it. It's that simple. You go to the search engine, you choose your article, you download or cite it into your reference manager, and then from the reference manager, you select, you highlight, you come to your Word document, you click on EndNote, and then you do insert selected citation, and it is right here in our document for us. Okay, so that's the first one. So another statement we have made, another statement. Say here, Ref 2 statement. We've done all that statement. Health Organization officially recognized that many relied on TM owing to its relative accessibility, blah, 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 and availability. And we want to acknowledge one reference here. Okay, we want to acknowledge one reference there. So again, now you go to your reference manager. Your reference manager, the EndNote, I'll go and select the Mayo, the second one that I just downloaded in there. Then I'll quickly come back. I'll quickly come back to my work documents. Not this one. Yes. So I've already placed the cursor here at the end of availability. And then I've highlighted the article I want to cite. So what do? We are repeating steps 7 to 9. So 7 says in the Word document, place the cursor at the end of the statement. We have done that. In the Word document, click on EndNote in the menu bar. So this is our menu bar. We go EndNotes, drop down, left top up corner, okay. Insert citation. You click. The second says insert selected citation or citations. You click, and then Mayo et al. Okay, that we have already highlighted has been dropped right here nicely for us. Now, let's go to our list of references to see whether the full article has been inserted there for us as well. Yes, you come. Number 2 is here. Mayo N. Wood, Dolphins, S. Ahmed S. Caron G. Higgins. So they are all there. Disablement Following Through, Disability and Rehabilitation Journal, Volume 21. And then the rest, the sections, the part follows, and then the pages. So you see, it's listed them. So far we have done 2. So we have done up to step 1 up to 9. Step 10, the last step is the formatting of the references as has been listed here. The formatting. So like I said, you see that in between the first reference and the second reference, there's an indent of the first reference. There's no page line in between the two. So depending, and if you click on this, let's say home, if I go home and I click on this, you see that it's Calibri and the font size is 11. But the college says your font size should be 12. You should use Times New Roman, and you should use, let's say, APE. How do you solve that problem for you? It's very simple. The last step, step 10. It says after all references have been cited using step 7 to 9, click on Edit and Manage Citations. Edit and Manage Citations. So in our EndNote like this, if you come here, go to EndNotes, Edit and Manage Citations. You see that. If you click, it opens this window for you. All right, then beneath here, you'll come to Tools, Configure Bibliography. It opens another window for you. So you see, we are working in a group document. This is the document that we are working in. The output, this is the referencing style. So you see that you have the APA 7. If they say use Vancouver, Vancouver is here, then you select. So we are using the APA 7. Okay, so you select that, and then you come to layouts. The layout gives you the opportunity to now use the appropriate font type and size. So the font type that we are already working is Calibri, but the Calibri says we need Times New Roman. So you come here and you look for Times New Roman, and that's here. Okay, the font size, it gives you the opportunity to change it. Say 12, 14, whichever the requirement is. Okay, and then you see that after the first line, the second line of the reference, the author listing, had an indent. It was pushed in. So do you still want it? No. So you see here, it's a hanging indent, and they have given you the dimension. So if we don't want any indent, just 1.270, we'll put it at 0.000. That will not give us any indent. Now, line spacing. Usually they will say do a double spacing, do a 1.5. So by default, it is at single. So let's say we want to do double. Then when you list one reference, the second reference, do you want any space in between? By default, it says none. But let's say we want a single spacing. So when you do all that, you click OK, OK, and then it does it for you. So now let's go to our reference list to see if it has changed. Yes, it has. You see, so now it used to be Calibri 11. Now it has changed to I think size 14, font size 14. And then in between the references, now we have a space that is in between. And we are doing double spacing. If you don't want any spacing, you go back. So please take note of it. So you can go back, edit and manage citations. You go to tools, configure bibliography. We are working in document 3, APA is there. And then we go to layout, that is it. Now say the spacing, we want single. The space after, now we want double. So it will change it. Okay, say now we are interested in an indent, okay? So instead of that, we say, let's do 1.5 indent. So you put 1.50. You okay it, and then you come to your reference list and you see that it has changed. So you see now there's an indent. And now there are no space in between the reference list itself, but between one and the other, you have a double spacing. So you can configure it to meet any specification that has been indicated either by the college or the journal that you intend to submit. So these are the steps that we want to follow in doing in our citation, in our reference citation. So very simple steps. There are 3 broad steps. You go to the search engine, you pick your articles, you export it into your reference manager. Then in the reference manager, you highlight it, and then you go to your Word document, then you insert citation, and it will just pull it into your reference column section in your Word document. So this is the simple steps to follow. Once you have downloaded your manager, you'll be able to maneuver through and then have your references cited as easy as anything for you. So this is where I will end this illustration and give the rector the opportunity to now break us into the various groups to demonstrate.
Thank you very much, Dr. Inkum. I couldn't stop you, even though you have gone beyond the designated time. Yes, you have gone way beyond the designated time, but I think it has been very, very informative and very instructive. And but there is one question that somebody asked, so I hope you can maybe briefly answer it, and then we will go into our groups for 20 minutes instead of the 45 that we originally said. But because of the extent to which you have clarified it, I think we may even end up using less time than we need. So maybe we'll make it 15 minutes so that we can work towards wrapping up by 4. So somebody was asking, is it possible to have more than one reference manager. I think you mentioned it when you were talking about the citing, but maybe the person missed it. So if you can just talk about that a bit, is it possible for somebody to have more than one reference manager on their system?
Yes, very well. It is very possible. So for instance, it depends on the device and then the reference managers that you are downloading. For some reason, my laptop, for instance, could not accommodate EndNote and Mendeley. But on
Okay.
my desktop, I have both installed. So you can use any of them. So you can have more than one installed on one device. Once they are compatible and it allows you, you are ready to go.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. So I hope that that is clear. You can have more than one, depending on your device. There may be some devices that will not allow you to have more than one. But if you can, then if the device allows it, then you can. And then you can use it in the way that you find beneficial. So we will go into our groups. There will be 10 groups in all. So there are 57 of us. So there'll be about 5 or 6 in each group. We will go into our groups for about 15 minutes and use the exercises. So because there are 10 groups, groups 1 and 2, you will use exercise 1. Each one of us has the 2 exercises, the 5 exercises. Groups 1 and 2 will use exercise 1, 3 and 4, exercise 2, 5 and 6, exercise 3, 7 and 8, exercise 4, and 9 and 10, exercise 5. So that's how we'll do it. So once you get into the group, you appoint one person as a sort of rapporteur to put everything together. Then among yourselves, you try to go through the exercises. If maybe somebody is struggling with something, you try and help one another, so that by the time in the 15 minutes, each one of us would be able to do the citing so that we can all benefit from this. So my IT team, I hope we are ready. If we are ready, please let us go into our groups now. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I don't understand.
I'm
Okay. We are coming back into our plenary, and it appears that I went into 5 different groups, and not one of them was able to, or not one group was able to do the assignment. Please, was there any group that was able to do the assignment?
We had just started. We were having trouble with the software. We had just started, and then the breakout session ended. Yes, please.
Okay. So in a few more minutes, you probably would have been able to. Okay. At least that is progress. Thank you. Please, is there another group that?
Rector, group 6.
Yes,
Group 6 too were having problem downloading. Apparently, none of us were able to download. Eventually, 2 of us did, and we're just trying to, start when our time was up.
Okay. All right. So at least that is progress in two groups. It's good to know. Yes, please, anybody else?
You know, this is justice. I was in group 4, the line dropped. I went back to group 7. In fact, anytime I said hello, nobody was saying it. I couldn't hear anybody. Even the texting, I in the chat box, I also said hello in both groups. So I don't know what happened. And then it dropped again, and then I'm here.
Okay. All right. So I suppose in a certain sense, we have run out of time because the referencing in itself, learning to reference is not a small thing, but once you have a hang of it, we could see that getting to the end, Dr. Nkum was just going through it very quickly. And so if we followed, it is just the beginning, the setting up that has been a problem. And that was why we tried to send the link earlier. We know that the initial link that we sent had some problems. So we sent another one, but I suppose that the time was too short for us to be able to install. But now that all of us have installed it, or at least the majority of us have installed it, I think what we will do, each of us got the steps. So perhaps what we can do is that you print out the steps, put it next to you. Then you start with each of the Word documents. You look at exercise 1, or you start with the steps so that you build the library as he has taken us through. Then you go to exercise 1, you pick the document on your laptop, and then you start putting in the references. So the places where the references should be, you put the references, the relevant references there. And then you build your references at the end of your page. And since we have 1 month to our next session, I believe that in 1 month, we can all perhaps attempt to go through the 5 exercises. And if we are all able to go through the 5 exercises, then that will actually build our competence in that area. Now we know that you can, with the software that we have, you can you just go to the website or the reference, wherever the place you want to reference, you pick it, and when you click the site, it gives you can pick the end note, and then it will upload into your library. And once it is uploaded in your library, you go into your document and you do the referencing. I want to suggest that we can even use this for any other documents that we may currently have that we have not, that we wanted to work on, but we have not been able to work on yet. Correct. And so if we are able to practice a bit, by the time we are coming for our next session, we'll be a bit more conversant with that. And that will be 1 tool in our, or one arrow in our quiver, which will get us closer to being able to publish and also share, present our work. Dr. Adogbe, I also experienced that with what you were saying. I think group 2 and group 4, eventually everybody disappeared from, from those groups, maybe because nobody was responding to calls. But hopefully, very soon we should be able to have a hang. All of us should be able to have a hang of this one. So Dr. Adogbe, your hand is up, so I'll let you speak. And then maybe if we have a few more comments with respect to the software and other things, we will receive them. And then we will take our final remarks from our facilitator for the day, and we will wrap up. We will have an evaluation. So please give us a few minutes. I see that the participant number has gone down. Dr. Adogbe, please go on.
Yes. And my observation is that whenever it dropped out, whenever I dropped out on those 2 occasions, I had to read through all the questionnaire again. And that took a long time for me to go back. So I don't know whether something can be done, because the internet connectivity is quite challenging. So if it drops and you can't just log back in, you have to read through all the questionnaire again. I think it's a challenge. That's the little observation I am making.
Okay. So maybe because of your internet connectivity, when you fill the form, you were not receiving the email, because once you fill the form, you receive an email which has log in, join the meeting. So you could just have clicked that one. So, but maybe because of your internet connectivity, that was it wasn't coming through. My apologies for that. My apologies for that. But I'm sure that by the time you have strong internet, you would have received about 3 or 4 messages from Zoom that you have registered, and so you can log in. I have seen a message that you want the steps. Okay. Okay, so we will resend everything. I think that will be the safest thing to do, to resend the link to get the end note, and also resend the documents, which includes the steps as well as the exercises. So we will resend them so that everybody will have access. So at this point in time, maybe if we have other comments, we'll take them, but I'll ask my IT manager to also put out our evaluation that you just go through quickly. It's just about 5 or 6 questions. You just click on them quickly. Let us have your assessment, and then we will wrap up. We will get our final comments from Dr. Inkum, and then we'll wrap up. Please, can we have our evaluation, please? Thank you. So please go ahead and just complete the evaluation, and let's have it with us.
Where will we see the evaluation?
Please say that again.
The evaluation, where will it appear?
It should appear on your screen.
Oh,
I have completed mine.
Oh, I've not even seen it. I don't know how to get it on my screen.
Maybe it's on your phone. Maybe you're using a phone because it's showing.
I'm using a phone.
Okay, so maybe,
If it's a phone, go to, I think, more and then select polls.
Okay. Let me try that then, you see. More and then select.
polls.
Masterclass series polls.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay, fine. It's here. Mhm.
Thank you very much.
Well, essentially, Madam Rector, I
Yes,
believe
sir.
a video can be shared. It will be beneficial because some of us we've lost quite a lot of it.
Yes.
I have had issues with my laptop, so I was using my phone. I joined it on my phone, but I followed you except
Okay.
the demonstrations where I was lost.
Okay. Okay. So we will share the video. Indeed, what we will do is that we will make it available on our website, the Ghana College of Pharmacists website. That will be easier. So we will put it on the college website so that you can have access to it over there rather than just, than sending it to you by mail. So we'll put it on the college website and let you know once it is available. So
okay,
Dr.
I've seen it and I feel mine.
Thank you, sir. So Dr. Inkum, will you give us a few words before we wrap up and close? Thank you.
Yes, very well. Thank you very much again. Yeah, so just to summarize, I know that this is issues and learning dealing with IT and all that always comes with a challenge to a number of us and also the system that we find ourselves. Yeah. And so don't be discouraged that maybe you were not able to download fully to be able to follow through. Yes, to have it installed, and you can always have that someone do that for you or guide you through the process. And once that is installed and you follow through with the steps, it's pretty much simple. It's not difficult at all. The 10 steps can be broken into, let's say, 3 broad areas, from the search engine into the reference manager. And then from the reference manager, citing it in your Word document. That is all. And then when you have cited all of them, then you can maneuver to format it to suit whatever requirements either a college or a journal article is demanding of you. And so once we have the steps, we'll be able to always handle these issues. So don't be discouraged at all that you're unable to go through fully. So the take-home points are that it's important that we attach great importance to this because it enhances our competencies. It makes our writing, it improves our writing skills. And then when we present material in such a standardized scientific way, it builds confidence in what we say, and it makes us able to connect well to the scientific community. And as pharmacists, we are also scientists, and those in the pharmaceutical industry, it's very helpful to apply this. It makes work very easy and simple. People who have spent years, they have to defer their programs because they were unable to really arrange their write-ups well. And so if we have a grasp of this, it helps us do a number of things so simply. And so I'm sure we'll have the opportunity again to wrap up at another time. But let's keep trying our hands on what we have installed and we'll get through with it. Thank you, Rector, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Inkum. I think it has been such an informative session, and I am sure that for those of us who have participated, even for those of us who did not have access to the manager, once we get access to it, I believe that with the way you went through it and the practice that you gave us, even before we went into the breakout rooms, we should be able to get a handle of it. And we are also going to put the videos on our website so that you can have access to it and take your time, go through it. Once it is at your own pace, maybe the things that you don't follow, you can reach out to us. You can always send, maybe if you need some kind of support, you can reach out to us, and between us and Dr. Inkum, we should be able to provide the support that is needed for you to be able to cite your documents properly. Then after everything, when the masterclass is over, at least you know that one thing that you have taken with you is being able to cite properly. I'm sure that the other sessions will also be very beneficial to each one of us. And so I'll take this opportunity and say that make sure that you are part of the other sessions as well. If it is at all possible, please join on time so that we will have a bit more time to be able to work with these things. And please remember that as we celebrate our 10 years, we are not only doing the masterclass, but visit our website. You see that we issue statements. We have some kinds of engagements from time to time. And if you are able to join us or you're able to visit our Facebook page, please go and see some of the things that we have there. God willing, on Tuesday, we are graduating our 3rd batch of members. If you can, join us. If not, watch us on YouTube or on Facebook. And so with that, I will say thank you very much for joining us today. We hope that it has been as informative to you as it was to all of us at the college. And we hope that you'll be using the skills that we have been taught and become more competent and confident in using EndNote in your referencing. So thank you very much and see you again next month or maybe earlier when we are able to do the session that we missed. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you too, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye, sir.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Available for assistance.
Please say that again. Okay, the person may have left. So bye-bye.
Yes. Bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nku.
Okay, thank you too.
And I hope the time is ready.
Bye, madam. Bye.
Bye, Carissa Foundation.
Yes, I got the
See you
last
guys
bit of it. I'm sure you asking if we'll be available to provide any support. Yes, Retta has indicated. If you have any concerns, you direct it to the college and then we'll work together to get the necessary support for anyone who may need it. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, we are.
I guess someone wants to make a comment, but the network.
As for this